Steve McQueen, the king of cool, and the man who redefined the anti-hero, was the blue-eyed rebel of 1960s cinema. Embodying rugged individualism, he captivated audiences with iconic roles like the stoic lieutenant in The Great Escape, the cocky detective in Bullitt, and the ruthless getaway driver in The Getaway. These unforgettable performances cemented his status as a Hollywood legend. But beneath the surface of fame and fast cars, McQueen's life was marked by hardship. Abandoned by his father and raised in reform schools, he battled inner demons throughout his life. His son reveals a stark contrast to the invincible image Steve projected on screen. Could the man who seemed to have it all have been hiding a secret struggle? Stay with us until the end to uncover the unexpected truth about Steve McQueen. Stephen McQueen's start in life was far from easy. Born in Indiana on March 24, 1930, his childhood was anything but ordinary. His mother, Julia, worked as a laborer, while his father, William, a thrill-seeking circus stuntman, abandoned the family before Steve was even a year old. With no father figure and a mother struggling to cope, young Steve was sent to live with his grandparents in Missouri. On his great-uncle Claude's farm, he found his first taste of stability. McQueen often spoke fondly of Claude, the hard-working, fair-minded man who gifted him a red tricycle on his 4th birthday. According to Steve, that tricycle sparked his lifelong love of speed and machines, but stability was short-lived. At 8 years old, Steve was sent back to Indianapolis to live with his mother and her new husband. The reunion was anything but happy. McQueen clashed with his stepfather and endured brutal beatings. The scars ran deeper than the physical. Young Steve began doubting his own worth, wondering why his mother didn't seem to love him. At just 9 years old, he ran away from home. The streets became his new world. He fell in with a rough crowd, surviving through stealing and petty crimes, a desperate search for belonging, even if it was the wrong kind. Overwhelmed, his mother eventually sent him back to the Missouri farm. But even couldn't erase the anger and confusion brewing inside young Steve. His return to Los Angeles at age 12 marked another explosive chapter. His mother had remarried, and his new stepfather was just as violent as the last. Constantly defying the man, McQueen found himself trapped in a cycle of abuse. After a particularly vicious beating, Steve threatened his stepfather's life. Desperate act born from pain and frustration. It's no surprise that Steve found a sense of belonging, however misguided, by joining a Los Angeles street gang. Trouble was always close behind, and he was caught stealing hubcaps. That act finally landed him in serious trouble. The punishment from his stepfather was brutal, a savage beating, followed by being thrown down a flight of stairs. This became the breaking point. Desperate for change, his mother sent him to the California Junior Boys Republic in Chino, a reformatory school. Harsh and structured, it was the complete opposite of everything Steve had known. At first, he wasn't popular. Resentment simmered among the other boys who blamed him for lost privileges due to his bad behavior. He endured bullying and isolation. Slowly, though, something shifted. The discipline and routine began to work on him. Steve McQueen transformed from a troubled kid into a leader, even earning election to the Boys' Council, the group responsible for making the rules at the reformatory. McQueen never forgot the Junior Boys Republic. His later fame brought him back there time and again, where he gave talks to prove that no matter where you start, change is possible. But when he left at 16, the road ahead was still tough. As his time in the reformatory taught him one thing: he was done taking orders from anyone. So when he enlisted in the U.S. Marines in 1947, it was a recipe for disaster. The cocky teenager, fresh from the streets, immediately clashed with the rigid discipline of military life. Boot camp at Parris Island was a brutal reality check. McQueen was promoted to Private First Class but was quickly demoted back to Private 7. Times in total punished for insubordination and his tendency to go AWOL. There was also a 2-week bender with a girlfriend, Barbara Ross, which ended with McQueen resisting arrest by the Shore Patrol and earning 41 days in the brig. Yet something changed. Maybe hitting rock bottom, or maybe the Marines finally knocking some sense into him. McQueen resolved to turn his life around. That restless energy, once destructive, now fueled an intense focus on proving himself. His act of bravery during an Arctic exercise wasn't just luck, it was the culmination of his transformation. Risking his own life, he pulled 5 Marines from a tank seconds before it sank into the icy water. His reward, posting to President Truman's yacht, the USS Williamsburg, a prestigious honor guard assignment. It meant spit-shined boots and standing at attention for hours, a far cry from McQueen's rebellious nature. Yet, through it all, Steve endured, finally learning the value of structure and the respect earned through hard work. When he received his honorable discharge in 1950, McQueen had been transformed. He wasn't some starry-eyed idealist. He had tasted discipline and even thrived under it. Despite everything, the Marines had shaped him into something new, a man with potential. They hadn't just taught him to obey orders. They taught him how to harness the chaotic spirit within himself. He still had demons to battle, but now he was armed for the fight. After leaving the Marines in 1950, McQueen wasn't looking for a respectable life. He needed cash fast. Using those street smarts, he became a getaway driver for a petty theft ring, and even dealt illegal guns. None of it was glamorous. All of it was dangerous. It was a sign of just how desperate he was to escape his past. But something deeper was stirring. The GI Bill offered a chance to break the cycle. In 1951, McQueen landed in New York City and enrolled at Sanford Meisner's neighborhood playhouse. This wasn't about fancy theater. It was about tapping raw emotions, perfect for a guy like McQueen with plenty of demons to draw from. He wasn't an idealist. He needed to make money. So on weekends, he raced motorcycles on Long Island City Raceway's dirt track. The prize money was decent, but it was the rush of speed he craved, a cleaner kind of danger. His first stage role was a tiny part in a 1952 Yiddish play, just a single line. And he probably didn't even understand the words. Acting took a back seat to survival as his GI Bill funds dwindled. McQueen bounced between acting classes, including one led by the renowned Stella Adler, recrossed paths of Jaya Scala. 1955 brought a breakthrough. A Broadway part in A Hatful of Rain. Still, it wasn't enough. California beckoned, and later that year McQueen headed west, crashing on a friend's couch in Echo Park. He took mechanic jobs for cash and chased any acting gig he could find, Evan appearing as a musical judge on the show Jukebox. Jury, his manager, Hilly Elkins, saw potential in McQueen's rough edges and striking blue eyes. Elkins got him a bit part in 1956's Somebody Up There Likes Me. B-movie roles followed, including his first leading role in 1958's The Blob. Then came the role that changed everything. Bounty hunter Josh Randall in Wanted Dead or Alive ran from 1958 to 1961. This wasn't your typical cowboy. Randall carried a soft Winchester and had a darkness that mirrored McQueen's own troubled past. The role made him an instant star. Despite his success, McQueen remained restless. His old racing buddy Robert Culp helped him snag a role in the film Never So Few, but it was Frank Sinatra himself who truly sealed the deal, seeing something special in McQueen and making sure he got his share of screen time. The movie hit theaters in 1959, marking McQueen's official arrival in Hollywood. But he was still hungry for more. The 1960s brought a wave of success. His role in The Magnificent Seven 1960 made him a household name. But playing second fiddle to Yul Brynner wasn't his style. On-set tension grew as McQueen added little touches to scenes, flipping a shotgun or wiping his hat that were meant to steal focus. Brynner hated it, but audiences loved it. Director John Sturges saw star potential and gave McQueen top billing in the 1963 classic, The Great Escape. That iconic motorcycle jump, not McQueen it, was his buddy Bud Eakins, as insurance wouldn't allow McQueen to do it himself. Still, the film was a blockbuster and cemented his status as a Hollywood heavyweight. McQueen wasn't just about action flicks, though. Love with the Proper Stranger, also 1963, paired him with Natalie Wood in a dramatic role, proving he had depth beyond the tough guy exterior. More westerns followed, including Nevada Smith, Then came 1965's gritty poker drama The Cincinnati Kid. Back to action in 1966. McQueen earned his only Oscar nomination for his role in The Sand Pebbles. But it was 1968's Bullet that truly defined his screen persona. The legendary white car chase through San Francisco, while he did some of his own driving. Stuntmen Bud Ekins and Lauren Janes handled the riskiest parts. Even at the peak of his fame, McQueen couldn't play by the rules. Warner Brothers loved the box office returns from Bullet, but after missing so many deadlines, they canceled his contract. His next film, The Thomas Crown Affair, was made with an independent studio. The role, suave and stylish, was a departure from his usual characters, but it worked. In 1971, the racing film Le Mans was a flop, but he followed it with the well-received Getaway. Following the drama of Junior Bonner, McQueen reunited with director Sam Peckinpah for the 1972 hit The Getaway. More hard-edged roles followed, including Papillon, 1973, where he portrayed a wrongly convicted prisoner desperate for freedom. By the time The Getaway hit theaters, McQueen was the highest-paid actor in the world. But he still craved something more authentic. The role of the no-nonsense fire chief battling a massive blaze in the towering Inferno 1974 was originally meant for Paul Newman. However, McQueen pushed hard for the part, even requesting additional dialogue to balance screen time. After the towering Inferno, McQueen stepped away from the limelight, needing a break from the relentless Hollywood machine. Racing remained his true escape. Motorcycles his real passion, he reappeared briefly in 1978 for the Ibsen adaptation. An enemy of the people, a total departure from his action hero image. His final two films, Tom Horn 1980 and The Hunter 1980, were gritty tales that mirrored his own turbulent journey. Though his star was rising, McQueen was notoriously difficult to work with. He walked away from huge opportunities, sometimes due to scheduling conflicts, other times out of sheer stubbornness. He was offered the lead in Breakfast at Tiffany's, but couldn't accept because his contract for Wanted, Dead or Alive, prevented it. He passed on Ocean's 11 and famously turned down Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid because he couldn't agree with Paul Newman's team over top billing. The list goes on. The Driver, Apocalypse Now, Dirty Harry, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. McQueen said no to them all. Sometimes it was because he didn't like the script. Sometimes because he simply refused to play by Hollywood's rules. The role of Pete Aaron, the American racer in 1966's Grand Prix, was supposed to be his, but a disastrous meeting with director John Frankenheimer resulted in the part going to James Garner instead. Garner summed up McQueen perfectly. Crazy McQueen. They were neighbors, but after Garner took the role, McQueen didn't speak to him for a year and a half. That was McQueen holding grudges and burning bridges, but there was grudging respect beneath it all. Even Steven Spielberg wanted McQueen for Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 1977. McQueen was touched, but turned it down, saying he couldn't cry on cue. Spielberg even offered to cut the scene, but McQueen stood firm. He wasn't above playing dirty to get his way. When director William Friedkin refused to let McQueen's wife Ali MacGraw produce Sorcerer 1977, the film flopped. Friedkin later admitted that McQueen could have saved it. McQueen had an eye for interesting projects. In the 60s, he considered a James Bond film called The Diamond Smugglers, based on Ian Fleming's book. He and Barbara Stanwyck were even talked about for The Gauntlet 1977. But their clashing personalities sank the project. He was also interested in the tough guy role in First Blood, which would make Sylvester "Red" Stallone a star, but by then McQueen was too old. Offers kept coming, even when he was ill. He was wanted for leads in The Bodyguard opposite Diana Ross in the Australian western Quigley Down Under. They sounded good, but McQueen's time had run out. The roles he missed became legendary, a testament to his unique stardom, even when he chose to walk a different path. McQueen's romantic life was a whirlwind from the start. While honing his craft at Stella Adler's prestigious acting school in New York, he dated actress Gia Scala in 1956. He married Filipina actress and dancer Neil Adams. Their union produced two children, Ari born 1959 and Chad born 1960. Sadly, Terry passed away in 1998. Chad's son, Stephen R. McQueen, continues the family legacy with roles in popular shows like The Vampire Diaries. However, McQueen's reputation for infidelity was well established by the late 1950s. Actress M. Van Doren claimed to have had an affair with the rising star, wasn't tied down for long around 1963-64. Model Lauren Hutton also claimed involvement with him. By the early 1970s, his marriage to Adams was under strain. In 1971, things took a darker turn when he began a relationship with his junior Bonner, co-star Barbara Lee. The affair resulted in a pregnancy. But Barbara Lee chose to have an abortion. McQueen and Neil Adams finally divorced in 1972. Adams later revealed in her autobiography that she had also had an abortion earlier in their marriage when things were already rocky. That same year, McQueen met Ally McGraw on the set of The Getaway. Fresh off the success of Love Story, McGraw was married to powerful producer Robert Evans. She knew getting involved with McQueen was a recipe for disaster, yet even calling herself obsessed. But the attraction was too strong. Their affair made headlines, devastating Evans, who filed for divorce. McQueen and McGraw's 1973 wedding was rushed. McQueen's controlling nature surfaced immediately. McGraw signed a prenuptial agreement and demanded she give up her career to be a traditional housewife, putting her ambitions on hold to raise his children and their son Josh. For a while there were happy times, but McQueen's demons were never far beneath the surface. He drank heavily, used drugs, and whispers about affairs began again. McGraw battled her own addiction to alcohol. The strain was tearing their marriage apart. By 1977, McGraw had had enough. She told McQueen she wanted to return to acting. His ultimatum was divorce. Ignoring his threats, she took a role in 1978's Convoy. They separated, followed by a brief failed reconciliation. The divorce was finalized in 1978. McGraw later expressed regret that they couldn't find a way to sobriety, believing they might have saved their relationship if they had. McQueen's struggles and, ultimately, McGraw's need to reclaim her own identity ended both of his most high-profile marriages. However, there is one final chapter to McQueen's story. On January 16, 1980, less than a year before his death, McQueen married model Barbara Minty. In her book Steve McQueen, The Last Mile, Minty wrote about McQueen becoming an evangelical Christian near the end of his life. This change of heart was influenced by his flying instructor Sammy Mason, Mason's son Pete, and Barbara herself. While McQueen's life was full of narrow escapes, nothing came closer to tragedy than the night the Manson family targeted Sharon Tate's home. On August 9, 1969, Tate, her unborn child, and 4 others were brutally murdered by followers of Charles Manson. Shockingly, McQueen was supposed to be there that night. Details came from McQueen's then-wife Neil Adams. It seems McQueen had plans to attend the party with Tate and the others, but at the last minute met a woman and skipped the event, a decision that saved his life. The realization that he had come so close to danger changed him, Adams recalls. That afterward, McQueen became paranoid, insisting she'd carry a gun for protection. Actress Candice Bergen, and her boyfriend at the time, Terry Melcher, also narrowly escaped the Manson tragedy due to their previous connection to the house where the murders occurred. They had lived there before Tate and Roman Polanski moved. In McQueen's determination and rebellious spirit, the very qualities that made him a star, couldn't save him in the end. In 1978, a cough that wouldn't go away led to a devastating diagnosis, mesothelioma, a rare cancer linked to asbestos exposure. He blamed it on multiple sources: insulation on movie sets, his racing gear, but perhaps worst of all was knowing it might have come from his time in the military. During his time in the Marines, Steve McQueen helped strip asbestos from pipes on ships. A cruel irony, as the very service that instilled his discipline may have also been the cause of his death. That realization must have been a bitter pill to swallow. By 1980, the cancer had spread throughout his body. Traditional doctors told him there was nothing more to be done. But McQueen wasn't one to give up without a fight. His trademark stubbornness led him to Mexico, where he sought treatment at a clinic run by a controversial figure named William Kelly. Kelly wasn't an oncologist, his methods were unproven, but McQueen was desperate. The treatment's coffee enemas, questionable injections were painful and expensive. McQueen had the money, but time was running out. When the press caught wind of his unorthodox therapy, his fight against cancer became tabloid fodder. He tried to keep his deteriorating condition private, but it was impossible. In October 1980, McQueen returned to Mexico for one final risky surgery to remove tumors. Using a fake name to try and maintain anonymity, he underwent a 12-hour operation. Sadly, on November 7, 1980, Steve McQueen's heart gave out. The king of cool was gone at just 50 years old. The world mourned the loss of an icon. But none felt it more deeply than those closest to him. His son Chad McQueen recalls his father's playful side, how Steve would run full speed and cannonball into the pool, making it look like he walked on water. Those moments of laughter, those simple joys of fatherhood, were what McQueen treasured most amid the chaos of fame and fast cars. Chad carried on his father's legacy in both acting and racing. Like Steve, Chad knows the risks. He survived near-fatal crash in 2006 and fought back from multiple injuries, proving he inherited his father's grit. Steve McQueen's journey from troubled youth to Hollywood, superstars into fairy tale. There was darkness, addiction, broken relationships, and struggles. Yet in his final year, there was also a poignant search for peace. He turned to religion and sought guidance from figures like Billy Graham. Whether he found what he was looking for remains unclear, but it reveals a different side of the complex man beneath the tough exterior. Chad remembers these lessons even as he grieves the father lost too soon. Motorsports, the passion they shared, remains central to his life. He accepts the risks, carries on the McQueen name, raises his own children with those same values. It's an enduring bond that not even death can break. That's the story of Steve McQueen, a man of contradictions and undeniable charisma. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe. Do you have a McQueen memory? Share it in the comments, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.